One of my best friends is a gentleman named Peter Tilden. And most people in Los Angeles either know Peter or know of him. He has been a morning, well, not always morning, he's been a radio talk guy for years and years and years. And during Seinfeld, in the middle of Seinfeld, I went on to his morning radio show. And we just had a fabulous time on the air. Just great. I felt like I was really talking to this guy. I was really laughing. We were having a blast. And it was an early morning show. And he said, "You want to go get breakfast?" And I went, "Yeah, come on, we'll go have breakfast." We went out, and this party continued at breakfast. And I went, "This guy's going to be a friend of mine." And he said, "I've got the idea for your next show." And I said, "Oh, yeah? Okay, what is it?" And he said, "Have you ever gone to a Tony Robbins seminar?" I said, "I haven't, but I've seen enough of them on TV." And he goes, "The worst motive, how about a guy whose job is telling everybody else how their life is wrong and how to fix it, but in his house, he's the biggest jackass there is. He has no respect, everything's dysfunctional." I went, "Oh, that's really interesting. That's new turf, and I see why it's funny." And he had had this idea in his head for years, and he said, "I think you'd be great." And I always said to him, "You know what? When I'm done with Seinfeld, let's really talk about it." Sure enough, we finished Seinfeld, and people were throwing pilot ideas at me. But the idea, the structure of Bob seemed really right to me. I liked what it had to say. And we were right in the midst of this whole do-it-yourself, self-help, learn who you are. And I thought the timing can't be better. There's such it's a great workplace. And we had a very easy time selling it. And it's the one that really breaks my heart, because there are things I would change about it. If I went back and said, "I'm going to start that project now," there are things that we didn't realize could be problems that became problems that we would fix. But the basic premise of the show, the character of the show, the bones of that show, and even some of the episodes that we pulled off, we couldn't buy any love from a critic. But I will go to my grave saying, we did 7 episodes of the show. I guarantee if I show you the 7 episodes, you'll laugh. And I think it is a better idea than a lot of what's on TV now. It just, through a series of unfortunate events, it didn't really get its chance. We got canceled. Let me put it this way. In 7 episodes, we were in 3 different time slots. So if you wanted to find us, you'd have to look a little harder than not. And despite that, our numbers went up every week. Baby steps, but that direction. But we were gone. But while I will not fall on my sword for the other one, I would fall on my sword for Bob Patterson and say, we all missed an opportunity there. We didn't fully claim it when we were doing it, but the network and the audience, I think, missed an opportunity there.
So were you hands-on in your role as a producer?
Yeah, possibly detrimentally so. But my role model was Jerry. So, I saw the work he put in. He was at every facet. He oversaw casting, writing, editing, you name it. I went, well, that's what you should do. So that's what I did.
Why do you say detrimentally so, potentially?
Well, because I just may not be that talented in all those roles. There are some times where my opinion would rule something, and I could have made a wrong choice. I think we had some good people around us. It feels like most of the decisions were made with consensus. But, when I look back on it, I realize I was wearing a lot of hats, and if I was underwhelming as any one of them, it very well could have hurt us. But we had strange things happen on that show. I mean, my showrunner, my pick of showrunner, because Peter really wrote it, but Peter had never run a show, so you couldn't have that. So my pick of showrunner was a guy named Ira Bear. Well, Ira came from the drama world. He had never run a comedy, but he was a funny guy. He came out here to write comedy, but actually, he was a Star Trek writer. He got picked, he was on the staff of the Star Trek shows. So he came on. Now they didn't trust him because he wasn't a comedy showrunner. Like, it's done differently somehow. So they saddled us with a guy named Tim Doyle. Well, they didn't. No, I'm sorry. They showed us several people, and we picked a guy named Tim Doyle, who seemed to get it. He said, "Look, I'm not going to get in your guy's way. You don't need anything. You're doing great. They want a babysitter. I'll be helpful if I can. I get it. I know what it is. Just do me a favor. Let me be the line of communication with the network because that's what they've hired me to do." Well, great. That's a great guy. He gets it. I'm sure he's going to be helpful. He's going to be great. He's another writer. He's written good stuff. We do the pilot. We think we're having a great relationship. The pilot gets done. We get picked up. He goes, not only is he quitting, which we find out in the trades, doesn't call us, but then he goes, those guys don't know what they're doing. And we go, why are you throwing us under the bus? And the first industry talk about our show is you got a bunch of dysfunctional guys over there who don't know what we're doing. We got picked up. We're on the air. We got all this stuff going for us. And we treated him very well. He eventually came back and apologized, but damage done. And for no obvious reason. So it was things like that that were just weird. We had some, 9/11, weird. We had 2 studios, not one. We had Fox and we had Touchstone for ABC. So you go to a notes session, you got Fox's notes, you got Touchstone's notes, and you got ABC's notes. Let's go further. ABC had 2 presidents, Lloyd Braun and Stu Bloomberg. One liked us, one hated us. Go figure out how do you make all these people happy? I talked about you have a vision, you know what you want to do. There are 5 people that rank above me, 5 entities, and I'm juggling all these sensibilities trying to make everybody feel like we're on the same team. It's impossible.